Okay, so the next two functions we're going to learn are the SUMIFS and COUNTIF functions. I personally think these are the two most important spreadsheet functions for anyone to know because they are the most useful in my opinion. So let's say we have a data set here where this column is the department in some kind of store, this column is the region, and this column shows some level of inventory that they currently have. So how the SUMIFS and COUNTIF functions work is it will sum, but only if some criteria is met. So it's kind of like combining the sum function and the if function into one, where it says sum up these numbers, but only if that number meets this certain criteria. So for example, a simple usage is if we wanted to sum these up, where we want to sum electronics up, we want to sum furniture up, we want to sum groceries up, we could do SUMIFS. And here, let's just hit this button. So the first thing we're going to pass is the sum range. So we want to sum up the inventory levels. So that's what we pass to sum range. And since we're going to be dragging this down, we want to lock these cells. So you hit F4 and it locks these. The next thing you're going to pass is the criteria range. So the criteria range is just like whatever range you're going to be applying the criteria to. So in this scenario, we're passing, or we want to reference electronics, furniture, groceries. So this is the range that we're going to be evaluating whether it's true or not. We also need to lock that. And then the third one is the actual criteria. So the actual criteria is this here, electronics. So this is the criteria range, and then this is the criteria we're passing to decide whether we want to sum these numbers or not. So basically what's happening in this function is it's going through all of these and it's saying, does this equal electronics? Yes. Okay, 100. Does this one equal electronics? No. Is this one? No. Is this one? Yes. And so as you can probably tell, you need to pass the exact same size range in your sum range and your criteria range. Because if this one was longer, it wouldn't know what to do with it. So it goes through like this and checks all of these are true, and then, or whichever one meets your criteria, and then it sums it up. So here we're going to put this in 675. So if you come in here and look, 100, 500, that's 600, and then another one, 75, 675. So it's working. So we can just drag this down and it will work and sum up whatever the total is for each of those departments. As you can probably tell, SUMIFS, there's an S on the end here, so we can pass multiple criteria to this and it will work just fine. So let's say we wanted to also sum maybe where the region was north. We can select this as another criteria range and criteria range 2. And for the second criterion, we can maybe pass north. Hit enter. So that's only going to show what is in this category, and it's also north. So one nuance with SUMIFS is when you're passing a number to it, like let's say we wanted one of the criteria to be and it's greater than or equal to some number, there's a little bit of a formatting nuance that you have to keep in mind that can be frustrating if you aren't aware of it. So here, let's say we want to also do where the number is greater than 100 or something like that. So the criteria range would now be the numbers, which is actually the same range as the sum range. So for this criteria range, we would use that and we'd lock it. And then let's say we want to do greater than 100. So you might think you can just type greater than 100 here and hit enter and that would work. But that results in an error because this doesn't work. Whenever you're using like a greater than or equal to, you need to wrap it in double quotes and put an ampersand next to it. It's a little bit weird, but it's just one thing that you have to memorize with spreadsheets. So if you hit enter, that will also be true. And then drag that down and it'll work. Another cool thing with the SUMIFS and COUNTIF functions is you can pass, you can use like logic, which I'll explain what that is. It'll match just like a pattern of a word. So instead of passing the whole word west or north or east in it, let's say we only wanted for some reason to where this word had ST in it anywhere. So you can see like west has an ST and so does east, but north and south don't. You could highlight this and you can do stars wrapped around ST. So where this is basically matches where it contains ST in it anywhere. And so that will basically do the west and the east regions if you wanted to test that. So COUNTIFS is basically exactly the same as SUMIFS, only it counts instead of sums. So if we wanted to do COUNTIFS, here you're not really passing in anything to sum, you're just counting. So you don't have to pass a sum range to COUNTIFS. Let's see if I can get the little helper here to work. There we go. So see, this one only has criteria range and criterion. Criterion range 2 and criterion. Criteria range 3 and criterion. There's no sum range at the beginning. So all you have to do is basically pass this criteria range and the criteria. And it works the same way as the sum function. You can pass multiple arguments to it. And it also uses the like thing, so you can use those little stars if you wanted to match certain patterns. And if you want to compare greater than or equal to a number, you need to use the quotes with the ampersand. So that's how you use SUMIFS and COUNTIFS in spreadsheets. These are two of the most important functions you could possibly know. So I would make sure that you spend some time with these and really learn them, because you're going to be using them all the time in your spreadsheet work.